In today's video, we're going to talk about 4 things that my opponent in the finals of the New England Championship does well, or might give me an opportunity to shift the momentum of the fight so that I can win on October 7th. Helping me with today's video is our combat fitness and Bambara boxing athlete, Pat. When we got a chance to see my opponent fight earlier in this tournament, we identified 4 things that he does really well that might be a stylistic nightmare for me when I meet him in the finals. The first thing that he does really well is he has a very, very fast 2-piece, a quick 1-2 combination. The second thing is he has a very good pull counter where he slides back in that half guard and throws that cross. He does an excellent job of finishing on the left hands, closing the door on those exchanges and make it hard to pressure him. And the final thing that he does really well is he attacks the body mid-combination. On my team, I got a lot of teammates who go high-low, who go low-high. My opponent does a wonderful job of going high, low, high and continuing to keep the pressure on. These are things that I'm going to struggle with when it comes to the fight on the 7th, and we're going to talk about some ways that you or I can problem solve these and turn scary moments into good opportunities. So the first thing my opponent does really, really well is he has a very, very fast 2-piece. So a 2-piece in boxing isn't just a 1-2. The 2-piece in boxing is a fast 1-2. All right, I had a coach, he'd have me put my hand on the bag and then imagining replacing my left hand with my right hand as quick as I can. That left hand just touches, bop, bop. It's almost on a quarter beat. It comes to really, really, really quick with a lot of conviction. Now, I'm a sucker for shots that come through this fast, especially when I'm working with somebody that lulls me into a false sense of security off of the jab. So if he's feeding me that jab and I slip, and then he throws that fast 2-piece, if I'm not already layering in my defense or already thinking about defending on that rhythm, I'm getting caught down here on his closed side, okay? And it's easy to build off of that. He lands that second shot, and it knocks me out of position, it puts me on my right side, it puts me on my back foot, and it makes me hard for me to capitalize coming back, okay? The first time somebody throws a 2-piece, it's very surprising, but there are lots of different things that you can do to insulate this, especially if you're lucky like me, and you know that your opponent has this in their toolbox going in. So what are some ways that you can deal with somebody who's got a fast 2-piece? Well, the first thing that a fast 2-piece does is it really disincentivizes head movement. So one of the ways that you can deal with it is you can throw up that high guard and you can depend on that guard kind of keeping you in position, hunkering down, being strong in your base, and kind of pushing through with that tower shield of a high guard. Now the problem with this is it creates other opportunities for the person to hit you, and it puts you right in front of them for them to tee you up with that 2-piece. They can use that fast 2-piece to hide movement, they can hide level changes, they can hide positional changes, they can hook around your guard. I can sit here if he's just throwing the 2-piece, bang, and I can catch that. But if he's using that 2-piece maybe to step around, bang, bang, I'm sitting here trying to hunker down in position, and now he's outmaneuvered me, okay? So instead of just depending on your guard and not moving lanes and levels, you should be bringing that guard with you, just like we talk about in our head movement videos. So if he throws that 2-piece, bop, bop, I can duck and look, he fell right through. Or I can slip the first shot, bop, bop, and I can catch the second shot on the top of my head. And then I'm loaded up so he can't pass through me, and I'm in a position that I could spring into an attack. If you're feeling a little reactive and maybe he throws the 1 and that 2's coming behind it, I'm not quite in the right position, I can cross pair. Cross pairing will save you in a pinch, cross blocking will save you in a pinch, but I gotta remember when I do this, if I take my defenses over from my right side and to my left side, I got nothing protecting me on this side. And he can come through with that hook, okay? I also expose my liver, and like I said, I'm fighting a guy that does a really good job of attacking the body while punching in combination. So you might see me use this cross block if I'm exiting out, but it would be a mistake for me if he throws that 2-piece, bop, bop, to reach when I'm in, because then he's gonna be able to dig and hit my body. All right, the combination of these 2 things that this opponent does well means that I really don't want to risk that cross block or that cross pair if I'm dealing with the 2-piece. Now, the last way that I can deal with the 2-piece is I can try to move my head for both of these shots. So if I know it's coming, I can try to go slip, slip. I can try to go slip, roll, right? This is risky, especially because the angle of that cross gets steeper and steeper and steeper. So if he throws that two-piece, slip, slip, if I know it's coming, I can try to get ahead of it, or he throws that two-piece, slip, roll. If I know it's coming, I can try to get ahead of it. In the chaos of a fight, that is an easier thing said than done. Only our fight vlog next week will let you know if I was able to do that. The second thing my opponent in the finals does really well is he has a great pole counter. I'm a sucker for the pole counter because I'm a pressure fighter. I want to be moving in. I want to be closing that ground, which means very, very frequently I end up falling through that cross lane. One, because I'm moving in, and two, because I have to create ambiguity about where my head is. So I spend a lot more time just in that cross lane than most outfighters or counterpunchers would spend. All right, so what the pull counter is when I throw that jab, he fades back, and then he springs back in with that right hand either up my center line or over my jab lane. Okay, so I can deal with this in a couple ways. Let's talk about what we were just talking about, where we were catching that shot. I would feel way more comfortable doing a cross parry to a pull counter because I'm more upright here. If I'm working with him and I go to hit him with that jab and he pull counters, bang, I feel comfortable making that catch. I especially feel comfortable making that catch with this particular opponent because he likes to use that half guard. So if he throws that two, his hand's down low, he's not looping that around quickly to meet me. If he does, I can make the adjustment and catch that shot. It also leaves, if he does that pull counter, bang, bang, bang. It leaves my left hand free to be able to attack, and I know I'm not getting hit with anything on my left side, okay? The other thing that's gonna keep me safe on that pull counter is making sure that as I move in, when I move in, I'm drop stepping in, I'm slipping in, I'm rolling in. While I'm here, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm constantly changing head slots and positions as I close that distance. So maybe I'm coming in and I throw that jab and he pulls counters, bang, bang. I was already getting under that. Or I throw that jab and he pull counters, bang, bang. And I was already getting around that. But if I'm just walking straight in and he does that pull counter, bang, bang, I'm eating that shot. I'm in a bad, bad, bad spot. And I know in a panic here, you square up, and then a guy who punches in combination includes that body shot, one good shot, and that's all it takes. So again, I need to keep my base under me, I need to get my head offline, and I need to create traffic. This is usually the secret sauce here for pressuring somebody appropriately. If you're doing those things, you're likely going to be able to deal with them if they do something fast and off rhythm, or if they do something unpredictable. So the third thing my opponent does really, really well is he includes body shots mid-combination. What I really need to think about carefully here is I need to really think about the position I'm in when I throw my right hand. I want to make sure that I'm structuring this correctly. If I'm throwing my hook, he's on my left side, either because I took a lane or an angle. If I'm throwing my uppercut, it's exclusively once I've taken an angle. If he might be throwing that shot to my liver, it only takes one. I can't be standing in front of him. If I throw a 2 or a 6 on the line here, he's gonna defend it, and then he's gonna attack my body. I'm vulnerable. Or if I'm in the middle of weaving and swimming here, and maybe he throws a 2, and I get out and I wanna throw my right hand, I get my body attacked. I need to think positionally to keep myself safe, okay? If I wanna throw my right hand, I need to put myself far side like this, where I've lengthened his ability to attack my liver, and I can rip up that center line or over that shoulder, all right? Or I need to put him on my left side so that I can throw my right hand without any fear of anything coming through and hitting my liver on the far side. But I need to be withholding. If there's a piece of advice that I got that was really, really good, it was when I was at Shots Boxing in Albany. They told me that I am way too comfortable throwing my right hand. You don't want to be throwing your right hand standing right in front of somebody. You really need to think positionally. You need to prioritize protecting yourself. It is rarely going to be worth the trade to let somebody clean you out to the liver for a single shot to their head. All right, when you're punching someone in the liver, that's an off button. You're putting that person down with one clean, well-structured shot. When you're punching somebody in the head, that's like rolling a D20. All right, in Dungeons and Dragons. You can punch somebody in the head with a really good, well-structured shot, and they can shrug it off. So you don't want to take that gamble for a sure thing if you can help it. The final thing that my opponent does really well that we identified is he does a wonderful job of finishing on the left hand. So this includes finishing on the jab and forcing me to the end of his reach, but he also finishes on the 3 or he'll finish on the 5, okay? Finishing on the left hand closes the door. It owns that space between you and somebody else. It stops them from pursuing you, or it punishes them if they pursue you, okay? I'm a sucker for when people finish on that left hand because I always want to be pressuring. I always want to be moving in. So very, very frequently, my opponent will throw a 2 and I'll get outside of it and they'll go to exit and I'm already chasing. I've already decided that I want to pursue this person. I want to keep this person on the hook, but you'll notice I just pivoted to meet them. I'm not in a good position here. I'm square to this person, my hands aren't where they're supposed to be because I'm thinking about protecting my liver low, and then I eat that shot. Not only does that knock me off balance, but it gives them an in. It gives them a handhold to build momentum and keep pressuring me, and it just completely stops my pursuit. Completely stops my pursuit and lets them get to a better macro position in the ring. So what are some ways that I can deal with this, okay? The first way would be what my old coach Bob Miller would say, where he'd say, be patient. He'd say, if you got him on the ropes once, you'll get him on the ropes again. If you got into an exchange once, you'll get into an exchange again. Nobody wins a fight by denying exchanges. So if we run that back, he throws the 2, he goes to pivot, throw the jab, and I just pivot and meet him in position. I let that jab fall on nothing, on empty space. And then I'm lined up. He's yielding ground. He knows I'm pressuring, and I can work on building off of that. I can re-enter into this exchange. The other thing I can do is I can really just layer in my defense. I can move, I can change levels, and I can create traffic. So again, he throws that 2, pivots out and throws the jab, bang, bang. I step to meet him. I change levels. I have my high guard up in case he's throwing something squirrely. I anticipate that that left hand's coming, and in this particular case, I've layered in my defense in a way where whether it's a 3, whether it's a 5, or whether it's a jab, it isn't gonna hit me, and I'm gonna be on him to continue keeping the pressure on him. The other thing that you can do is you can just stop these exits, okay? A lot of this is dependent on the referee, but I am not above grabbing and holding somebody to keep them in front of me. So, you know, he steps in with that 2, and I know he's gonna pivot out or he's gonna throw that right hand. So I'll step to him and I'll smother that shot first and foremost, all right? I don't give him space to work, and then we rebase and we start working from here. This is a risky one, but it's one of my favorites, especially when guys get tired and they don't quite have that snap on their shots anymore. Move in, smother them first, knock them off balance, and then reposition and start working on the inside where your situational awareness can win out over somebody who might be a little bit faster, quicker, or more explosive than you. So ideally identifying, seeing these 4 things ahead of time that my opponent does really well are gonna help me to have success in the finals on October 7th. When you do tape study, I always tell people at the amateur level, guys change a lot fight to fight. I always tell guys the most important things to know: are they tall? Are they small? Are they orthodox? Are they southpaw? And then from there, unless this guy's fought you before, he's gonna fight you differently than he fought the last guy, or the guy before that, or the guy before that. The other thing I always tell people when you're doing tape study is, just like we did today, identify the things that the person does well. Identify the things that they're very good at, that you're gonna have to deal with. Don't worry about identifying things that they do poorly or the mistakes that they make, because they might have cinched those up. If they're making mistakes, they know they're making mistakes. And you've got to be able to capitalize on those mistakes. And you don't want to try to build a whole game around a single mistake that somebody makes in a 3-round fight. You just don't have a lot of time to work, okay? You want to look at the things that they do the best, the things that they're confident with, and you want to make sure that they don't use those things to build momentum so that you can shut them down. You can be the one leading the dance, and you can be the one on the offensive when you fight.